All good, all good. And of course, we want to remind folks, if you're watching on YouTube, then you see the Julian Love poster there saying we'd love you to subscribe. And that's the truth, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Give the likes, give the thumbs up, drop the comments. Look, we are swimming upstream versus that YouTube algorithm sometimes, Brandon. I'm like, sometimes it loves us, sometimes it's like, do you know we exist? So what plea can you make to the good people to at least lend that thumb?
Yeah, giving a little thumbs up, dropping a comment, sharing with a friend. If you say, hey, friend, there's a new episode of the Seahawkers podcast. Did you catch it on YouTube? Send them over the link. And I'm sure that must help somehow, too.
It's got to help. It's got at least the juju, at least the good juju, at least the hawkra, more importantly, to raise the 12s. It's got to help. It's got to do that. So speaking of help, Brandon, we are going to do a little news and notes. So if you're watching on YouTube, we got some fun graphics. Brandon, I decided to put the most important Seahawks, absolutely Seahawks news first and foremost. Take it away, buddy. What's the big news out there?
Oh, we've got former Seahawks watching where former Seahawks are landing with their new teams. Maybe the biggest name player that everyone would know, Jamal Adams, has a new team. And he's going to the Las Vegas Raiders and reuniting with Pete Carroll.
Very good for him. This is a very cool, good for him story. When Jamal was healthy, and that's really it. When he was healthy, he was an effective player. And obviously, Pete loves him. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what he's going to bring to that team. This is more just like hey, good luck. I'd say the cool part about this, or the extension of this, Brandon, is I intend to watch quite a bit of Raiders football this year because I still like Geno Smith. I love Pete Carroll, and I'm intrigued by this football team. So this is just another piece out there that goes, that's interesting.
Another closet Raiders fan in the pile there. And I don't know if you heard this or not, but according to Jordan Schultz, Jamal Adams in the best shape of his life.
Yeah, best shape of the life season, right? So probably the same for Trey Flowers, who, if you're watching, you see that on screen as well.
Oh, good. That's not Devin Witherspoon, number 21.
That's
I was hoping that wasn't him going to the Bears.
That is not Devin going to the Bears. It is former corner Trey Flowers, who ended up having some pretty good years. Certainly, I'd say more well-rounded years with the Bengals, and now an NFL journeyman making his way over to EJ Snyder's Chicago Bears. So EJ, he's your problem now. Good luck, bud.
I guess the big question is whether he'll play at safety, where I think he had more success with the Bengals, or back to corner, where he had moderate levels of success as a member of the Seahawks. But
yeah, hit and miss.
But we'll let EJ fill us in on that, because I don't need to watch any Bears football this year.
No, neither do I. I agree that team might be a little hot, a little overrated potentially. We shall see. They infused talent. They probably fixed their line. They definitely fixed their OC.
They fixed their coach. They
fixed a lot of things. They still got to prove it to me. So, all right, that's the not so important news. Now I'd say medium-sized Seahawks news. Brandon, where do you want to take it?
Zai Alexander. If you're a Seahawks fan, did you know Zai Alexander was a member of our Seahawks? If the answer to that question is no, then he's not currently a member anymore because he's gone.
Yeah, so he gets cut. It was like a medical designation type cut. So he's not going to get a chance to start training camp. This was a dude, Zai Alexander, for those, because he plays down in LSU, so he gets lots of just national coverage. He had kind of high hopes. People were like, "Oh, darn good corners as a cornerback. Darn good corner, has a legit shot." But it's not going to be with Seattle, so we wish him the best. There is the other player that caught a lot of attention in the rookie minicamp, Isis Waxer. I think it's Waxer or Waxter from Villanova, who apparently was more of a standout than even Alexander was in the rookie camps and stuff like that. So as we open rookie camp, a name to keep an eye on is Isis Waxer. And then so then we ditching Alexander.
I think we did talk a little bit about Alexander, I think, with EJ, because I think he was on their kind of draft watch list, and when he went undrafted, There was a little bit of surprise that he went undrafted, but obviously with a medical issue, that's probably why he went undrafted. And so a tough break for him. But yes, we acquire another Alexander.
Exactly. And this time we get one who spells Cam exactly correct. So we get Kam Alexander. He's from Oregon, and this is another DB. So kind of a DB for DB swap. We shall see. I always kind of find it intriguing when they do bring in, especially the early days of Pete Carroll, which I know we're getting pretty far removed from. But I really liked back then when they'd be like, oh, this guy played at USC. Oh, this guy played at Washington State. Oh, this guy played at Oregon. And Pete just had this like magic West Coast elixir going for a little bit there. So a local dude, I'm sure there's some fans listening that are Ducks fans that could speak a little bit more, boldly about Cam Alexander. I don't know him too much, but I like both his names. So that's a bonus. Yeah.
And I have to imagine that you like Justin Rodgers' arms because they are maybe not quite thigh arms level, but they're getting close enough. Like he's 6'2", 350 pounds. We've been talking all the offseason about how we need a nose tackle. They go out and they get a guy who plays nose tackle who was on the Cowboys and then with the Bengals, former 7th round pick. So, we're just hoping that he grows into the position here now. And what is it? His third year? I
think it's second year. I could be wrong. It might be third. I know he's a 7th round pick. I know that part was correct for sure. And hey, beefy boy up the middle. Maybe it's a bit of a flyer. We don't know how this will work out. Maybe he ends up being kind of a backup to Hankins, and we have 2 ex-Cowboys up the middle there. Whatever compilation, Brandon, gets us to Byron Murphy playing less nose and 1 tech and actually playing more 3 tech, I'm in favor of. So if this is what gets it there or bolsters it in some way, then I'm a big huzzah and just hope for the best. But this is the kind of stuff that, like, as we enter camp and then we get into preseason, well, those are names I want to watch for. Like, is Justin Rodgers doing anything? Is he out there, just plugging the middle up in preseason? Can he get enough reps? And if so, can that impact what I think are obviously higher level players like Byron Murphy, for instance? So that's where my mind goes when I see the beef up the middle.
But yes, we hope going into his second year,
there we go.
I confirm that it just takes him some development being one of those late round guys, and he can help fill up that beef in the middle
beef. All right. So speaking of some kind of a beefy boy, he's on his way out the door, unfortunately.
Beefy contract.
Yeah, beefy contract. Right. Beefy contract for sure. And we're going to talk a little bit about Noah Fant. We're going to spend a little bit of time on the ramifications for the other tight ends. And then we'll spend the rest of the episode discussing what can we do with this money? Are there certain things that the Seahawks should look at with this money? So Brandon, $8.91 million. Now I would say you, me, Adam, others on the Seahawkers podcast, we might have been a little ahead of the curve when it comes to Noah Fant being on this 2025 football team, because I think we had an opinion back in, I think, February or March about this.
Well, I think, you probably go back a couple of years and the opinion of not just this show, but other shows too. Like, we were waiting to see the production from Noah Fant that came along with his salary, his potential. He was part of the Russell Wilson trade. So I think it had been 3 years of him being on the Seahawks, then getting a contract to where they're like, okay, we kind of want to see it, and never really got to the level that I think matched up with the dollar amount next to his name.
Well said. And it's one of those that like big slot, super athletic tight end that's become popular, and Buffalo's going through it right now with Dalton Kincaid. Will he be the dude? I mean, if you look at Noah Fant's combine numbers, right, he shot up to a 1st round projection because, yes, he was very good in college, but he was fantastic in his underwear. And therefore, as an athlete and as a big slot, everybody gets excited about this big slot, but he's not faster and more agile than a wide receiver. And he's not a good inline blocker. So you have a tweener, you're paying a lot of money. And in a Kubiak system where you kind of need define tight ends, to me, the writing was on the wall. I'm like, this tweener does not fit. This doesn't fit. Meanwhile, AJ Barner absolutely shows me that he's kind of like a Zach Miller style. Like that dude's an actual two-way guy. They're bringing Salbert in line. And then, of course, we have the draft where, I don't know, maybe we just go get younger, cheaper Noah Fant. What do you think about Arroyo?
I think that's at least the hope and the projection. And that may be a good signal, especially for you, Clinton, who is maybe a little bit unsure about Arroyo at the time of the draft. And he has some health concerns that go along with him, right? And so the idea that they could go ahead and move on from Noah Fant when they did, like, have they seen enough of Elijah Arroyo now through minicamp and training camp, or going into training camp, that they can say, okay, well, we've seen enough here. We don't want to see Noah Fant get hurt in training camp, and then we have this large salary that he can't do anything with.
Yeah, saddled with the injury, whatever designation, which you can't release him from that, right? You kind of get shackled. So that whole part is intriguing. And to remind the listeners, because you're mentioning, like, I still don't, and I didn't live like our second round. I'm not very high on Imamwari as a safety at this point. I have my reasons. You can go back, and I'm not going to go into them now. I hope he's friggin' awesome. There were other dudes I preferred at safety. And from tight ends, for me, Arroyo was low because I didn't think he had the moves like within the 5 to 10 yard space. It's like, oh, he's wide open. Cam Ward finds it for 70 bazillion yards and he runs really fast in a straight line. But I didn't see like immediate separation in the 3 to 5 yards, which in the NFL, when things are way more condensed and where do you need tight ends to be really effective, the red zone and the purple, fuchsia zone, I don't think he's there yet. So that's why I have my reservations with Arroyo. But we put this poll out there, and really I should have put it out earlier in the day because I knew we were doing this episode. So shame on me. It didn't give enough time to bake, and we'll go back and check.
Are you saying that because you don't like the results? Like,
no,
you just needed more votes for it to work out the way you wanted? We'll see
how it goes. And those listening on the audio, the poll that was showing on youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast is, now that Fant is gone, who are you more excited for? So maybe it's also the way it's phrased, right? Who are you more excited for? AJ Barner, we called it AJ all day, or go, Elijah Arroyo. And Brandon, you alluded to it, but as of right now, at least, who's winning this poll?
It does look like Elijah Arroyo is winning. It's way small for me on screen to know for sure, but I think I do recognize the AJ Barner number up top.
Yeah, that's AJ up top. And I just refreshed back on YouTube. So, about a dozen more votes since I copy pasted this into the presentation you're seeing. Arroyo's actually gaining ground. It's almost 60% are more in the Arroyo.
At the running back position, Kenneth Walker III, it has been an interesting tenure for him in Seattle for the former second-round pick out of Michigan State. And if he is moved, there is a potential cap savings of close to $2 million, 1.85 to be exact. And you look at Kenneth Walker, it's twofold, right? Has he underperformed? Has he struggled to stay healthy? Both of those things are true. But on the flip side, how much of it has to do with the offensive line as well and the problems that the O-line has gone through? What I don't know with K9 is how good he actually is, in all honesty, because I don't know how much has to do with the offensive line compared to his own talent level. And that's a bit concerning that here we are entering year 4, and we just don't know at this juncture what K9 actually is at this point in his career, coming off the worst season he's had at 3.7 yards per carry. That was not good at all from Kenneth Walker last year. That was a doom, as some would say. All right, so with that said, too, he's entering the final year of his rookie contract. You had plenty of good backs. Zach Charbonnet, Kenny McIntosh, Damian Martinez. I can't seem to think that they're going to keep both Walker and Charbonnet long term. So are you better off potentially trading him now? You're not going to cut him. Are you better off trading him and getting something for him and rolling with Zach Charbonnet. Personally, I would keep him. I would not trade or cut Kenneth Walker III because his trade market's not going to be that great. You're going to get a late day 3 pick, and you're only going to make yourself worse at that position. You're not getting back what you paid for a former second-round pick. So that's not ideal as far as that goes. So I would personally keep Kenneth Walker III. As I've said previously, when it comes to K9 and Zach Charbonnet both, I wouldn't extend either one of them long-term. Maybe potentially a short-term 1 or 2 year deal, but your best bet, especially now that you move into a run-heavy offense, is to run both these guys into the ground and get every ounce of final energy you can, and then potentially move on from them down the line. At the quarterback position, he hasn't been here too long. His days might already be numbered, and that is largely dependent on how quickly Jalen Milroe develops. All right. Now, if you move on from Drew Lock, you're looking at a cap savings of about $1.75 million. It's not a ton of money that you would save, but the most important thing that you could save by moving on from Drew Lock is the roster spot. Because here's the bottom line. All right. You are not, under any circumstance, moving on from Jalen Milroe. He could look awful in training camp and in the preseason. Just as an example, let's say that happens. Well, he's still a third-round pick. You've invested way too much to move on from him, okay? So if that scenario happens, then I think you roll with the 3 quarterbacks. But if Jalen Milroe shows you something, or you believe that he's capable of being your QB2, then you can move Drew and save that roster spot. Because traditionally speaking, we don't see the Seahawks carry more than 2 quarterbacks. That's hardly ever happened in the John Schneider era. So I'm optimistic about Jalen Milroe. Next up, we find Marquez Valdez-Scantling, a.k.a. MVS. In our Madden Sims, he has been quite the Madden merchant, I would say. If you move on from MVS, you can save about $2.5 million. Now, let me go over my list of grievances on MVS. And I find myself telling this story because people need to be reminded of it. They're like, nah, this ain't working. Even though our receiving core sucks, we're better off without MVS. You're cut. You're out of here. He goes to Buffalo. Buffalo Bills. Not a great receiving core after they spent all this money on Josh Allen and things. And he didn't even make it through the season. And they said, you're out. You're gone. 2 elite organizations, okay, that needed receiver help. And each of them thought they were better without MVS. All right? So that's not good for him. Now, he did do well in New Orleans last year, relatively speaking. In Clint Kubiak's offense, might I add. And that's what led him to getting this contract with Seattle. I say that all to say, though, plot twist. I'm actually keeping him. Let me explain why. The reality is, right now, you don't have too many better options than MVS with what you've done at the wide receiver position. Torrey Horton's a rookie. I hope Torrey Horton passes up MVS on the depth chart. But even if he does, then MVS is still, by far, your 4th best receiver. I'll take him over Jake Bobo and Steven Sims and those guys. So I don't see him going anywhere. Now, if you make a trade for a big-name receiver, maybe that potentially changes things, and MVS could be involved in a trade package or something like that. But I don't see him going anywhere. As much as I have personal issues with MVS, as I explained in great detail a moment ago, I would keep him at least for now. But he's not a part of your long-term future. That's for damn sure. Name a player the Seahawks should keep. We've gone over a few names. Now we want to hear from you. Play in the comments section. Give me a name that you would like to see remain in Seattle. Last on our list, a lot of people are talking about this. Moving on from Rick Woolen. Yes, you heard that right. Rick Woolen entering his 4th season in Seattle. The former 5th-round pick out of UTSA was a Pro Bowler as a rookie and was outstanding. Led the league in interceptions, the co-leader his rookie year. And things have been kind of up and down for him ever since. He struggled with tackling at times. He gets beat a lot, but he does create turnovers. And this is a make or break year for him as he tries to get that long-term contract extended. If you were to move on, the most money that you can save from departing from Rick Woolen is about $5.34 million. And he's coming off a season last year where he had about 3 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, 46 tackles, 1 forced fumble. From what we've heard, he is in the good graces of Mike Macdonald for now. They seem to be optimistic about Rick Woolen. They did not move him at this point. They could have moved him a long time ago. They could have, if they felt like they had a better option at the corner spot, replace him with something else, but they didn't. And for me, I know some people were talking about trading him and that they would not want to pay him a long-term deal, but I would keep Rick Woolen for now. And then we fast forward to next offseason. That's when I make a decision on it.
The Seattle Seahawks are shaking off the old and building towards something sharper. It is not a rebuild and it is not a rebrand. It is a quiet overhaul driven by scheme fits, contract clarity, and a sharper eye for production. Training camp is underway and names are being tested, some rising, others slipping. From unexpected cuts to surprise starters, the coaching staff is placing every position under review. The first thing to note is the quarterback room. Sam Darnold is the starter going into camp. He has shown steady command in walkthroughs and live reps. Coaches are tailoring the system to keep him in rhythm, not asking him to play hero ball. This fits Clint Kubiak's vision for a more structured, tempo-driven offense. Drew Lock returned on a short-term deal, but is no longer considered a lock to make the 53-man roster. His reps have been uneven, and rookie Jalen Milroe is catching attention with quick feet and strong second-read throws. If Milroe continues to develop, the staff may choose him over Lock as the developmental backup. In the running back room, Kenneth Walker III is in a strange spot. His explosiveness remains, but his vision and durability continue to be question marks. He is entering a contract window where trade value is a genuine factor. Coaches are giving more camp reps to Zach, who is showing smoother transitions through contact. Damian Martinez, a rookie with power and patience, is also flashing during inside run drills. Reportedly, Walker has talent, but his role is not guaranteed if others prove more consistent. Now coming to the wide receiver, the top of the depth chart is secure. Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling form the core trio. The issue is depth behind them. Jake Bobo is dependable but lacks vertical speed. On the other hand, Ricky White III is making a push with sharp breaks on intermediate routes. Steven Sims Jr. has return value, but several undrafted receivers are making strong cases. Special teams will likely decide the bottom spots on the depth chart. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is being monitored closely. He is healthy, but his contract is not protected. If younger players outperform him in preseason action, the front office could move on. The tight end group, however, remains stable. Noah Fant is the TE1, and Colby Parkinson remains a second option. They have built chemistry with Darnold, especially in red zone drills. Blocking assignments have also been clean, which has been a point of focus in camp. On defense, the major story is in the secondary. Rick Woolen is not having the cleanest camp. There have been repeated breakdowns in press coverage, and his timing on deep balls has looked off. The staff has begun rotating in Mike Jackson and rookie Jamari Harris during key defensive periods. Woolen is not out of the picture, but he is no longer untouchable. The new defensive system under Mike Macdonald reflects discipline in coverage, and Woolen will need to adapt quickly. Devin Witherspoon remains a fixture at corner, and his camp performance has been steady. Josh Jobe is also getting more nickel reps and may carve out a regular slot role. At safety, Rayshawn Jenkins and Julian Love are taking most of the first-team reps, but Jarek Reed II is rising fast. The team is unlikely to carry more than 4 safeties, so camp performance will matter heavily. Next, on the edge, Uchenna Nwosu is leading the group in pressure consistency. Opposite him, Derek Hall is showing more control in setting the edge. Boy Mafe's motor remains high, and he continues to improve in reading play action. This trio looks set, but second-year player Zion Tupola-Fetui is pressing for rotational snaps. At linebacker, the Seahawks have stability. Jerome Baker has transitioned smoothly into the system, and Jordan Brooks remains a steady presence. Tyrell Dodson and Drake Thomas are showing importance on special teams and could rotate in short yardage packages. In the trenches, Seattle added veteran help. Laken Tomlinson and Andre Dillard were brought in to strengthen the offensive line. Charles Cross continues to anchor the left side, and Olu Oluwatimi is holding down center reps. The battle at right tackle is ongoing, but Bryce Cabaldou is getting attention. His technique and physicality have improved, and he is no longer a fringe name. On the defensive line, Jaron Reed and Leonard Williams are leading the interior. Draymond Jones has moved inside more frequently and is being used in stunts. Rookie Braden Fisk is learning the speed of the game, but has flashed on delayed pressures. Special teams battles are active. Jason Myers is safe at kicker, and Michael Dixon remains reliable at punter. Return duties are still open. Notably, Steven Sims Jr. is the front runner, but Avery Young and Ricky White III are rotating in. The Seahawks are evidently reevaluating what works and letting competition shape the roster. Insiders say that the coaching staff is focused on creating a group that matches the new scheme. Over the next few weeks, roles will be decided by performance. Stay close and subscribe if you haven't already.